Hello, everybody. Good evening. Here we are at the nearing the end of, not necessarily nearing the end, I suppose, but more like getting close to the final topics in advanced programming with Java. I'm letting more people in left and right here. So here's what's on the agenda tonight. So we're going to start out with Prime Minister's questions. I hope you all saw on Slack that I extended the due date to Project 4 until Friday. This gives people a couple of extra days to work through the last aspects of Project 4. And I didn't want to give people too much more time because I do want everybody to have plenty of time for Project 6. People are someone has just blessed me. That's good. I need it. Okay, good. Well, hey, I'm happy to give you a couple extra days on Project 4, but remember those are 2 days that you can't spend on Project 5. And something that I definitely want to get started tonight is Project 5. Project 5 is our Android project. It's our last project, and just like Project 4, it was different. It was it requires that you not only have a different project in your repository, in your GitHub repository, but also that you use a different set of tools because you'll be developing with Android, and there's lots of stuff to learn and to work with Android. So I'm going to spend some part of class tonight, making sure that everybody can work with their Android development environment, and then maybe do a little bit of Android coding. We'll see how things go because we also have our second in-class mob programming kata. And so then for anybody who didn't have a chance to experience mob programming last week, or wants to do some more of it, they'll have their chance tonight. So let's start off with Prime Minister's questions. There's been lots of conversation on Slack. I had some bonus office hours and stuff to get people going with Project 4. My gosh, I hope we've worked through a lot of the questions and stuff, but where are people at right now? What questions do you have about the assignment, about the servlet and how to work with it in the client, and things like that I can answer for you?
Yeah, Dave, I have a question.
Yeah.
One of the things was, I know you said that if you want to update the servlet, you need to like rebuild your Jetty.
Mm-hmm.
So you re-execute the Jetty run.
Yes.
But is there a way that you can force that to happen? Because what happens is if I redo the Jetty run, it still doesn't update the servlet. I thought it was, and then I realized that I was trying to troubleshoot issues that should have just been corrected. I have to do a full Maven rebuild, like a clean verify.
Clean?
Yeah, in order to actually update.
Boy, I'm surprised by that. What operating system are you running on?
Windows, and the Maven is in Ubuntu, which is a pain because
yeah. Actually, were you the one that posted about that on Slack?
no.
No, okay, well
But
someone else did.
Okay, then I'll have to check that out too. But
Yeah, and so then I don't know how the file systems between the two operating systems are synced.
yeah, it's painful. As soon as you open IntelliJ, it like denies you access to certain files if you want to do a Maven rebuild. So you have to restart the computer every time you want to rebuild Maven if you've opened IntelliJ.
Okay. So I don't know what that environment is getting you, honestly, but it seems to be causing a lot of problems. So I don't have experience working in that particular mixed mode of Ubuntu running on Windows and sharing a file system and stuff. So sorry, I don't have a lot of advice there, other than hey, the man goes to the doctor and says, "Doctor, it hurts when I do this," and so the doctor says, "Don't do that anymore." Right? I'm not very good with the one-liners, I got to admit. But anyway, yeah, sorry.
Question. Yeah, you have a minute, or?
Oh, is that David? Yes, yeah. I was going to say, oh, David has hand up, and then it's David speaking. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I just tried before submitting, I tried running clean verify on Linux machines, and the Jetty container failed to start up. There's an error. You know anything about that? Because that doesn't look like any of the issues we've had previously that you've.
Did it say someone else was already using port 8080?
I don't see that as an error. I can share my screen.
Yeah, actually, if you don't mind.
second. You see it?
Oh, error. Starting container failed. Not stuffing. It's yeah, right up there. One line above that warning above. Is that port number 8080 defined with the property cargo.server.port is in use. So, yep, someone else is
Nice.
using that. You, someone else. So, yes. So then you can, I think it's in the assignments like jetty.port. HTTP port or something like that. There is a way that you can change that, and so it'll run on a different port.
All right, I'll look around.
Yep.
Surprised I didn't see that. Thanks.
No problem. Nice. Let's see here. Some chats are going in. Okay. Let's see here. There's some questions going by in chat. Can't tell if that's people talking amongst themselves or if it's a question for me. Looks like people are just chatting amongst themselves, which is fine. Other than the fact that I sort of like noticed it go by. Will we have time to ask about setting up Android? Oh yes, that'll be the one of the primary things that we do tonight. Week 5, week 6 has the same Android development videos. Was it intended to be 2 separate videos? Oh, you're not gonna get quiz. I'm sure you don't have access to, and that might be a bug on my part. Let's see here. There should be 2 different. Oh, maybe they are this. Are they the same video? KX734. Oh, they are. I don't think that's right. Someone else needs to be let in. Pardon me. Let's see. Oh, I guess I should be sharing my screen now that I'm not on screen anymore. Actually, let me. Sorry, let me try this again. Share my Chrome. So yeah, so let's see here. These are both the same one, and I don't think this is the right one. This is user inter. Okay, they both link to the Android user interface. You just go over here up in the playlist. The one for you need to watch both Android fundamentals and Android user interface development. Actually, there isn't one on testing. There might be some content, but I might not have there might be some slides, but I don't have a screencast for it. Somebody going by in chat. Okay, cool. Yep. Sorry about that, Scott. Any chance we can get new grades sent out again? Yep, there's a good chance. I can do that. Yeah. Sorry, I missed a couple of things like the cones, and a bunch of people had some questions about the POs and stuff like that. Mark, can you post something about that on Slack? That'll be a good reminder to me to do it. Maybe I can do it during a break tonight or whatever. It's pretty easy and fast for me to do. Thanks. Okay. Other questions about Project 4. It's unusual to have the ability to ask about the project before it's due. So. Okay, that is fine. Okay. Oh, are the dash host and dash port options required for the command line? They're options, so they're not required. Although someone asked during office hours, I did go and check the test cases, and every test case has a dash host and a dash port. So if you consider them required, you'll pass all the test cases. Andrew's got some questions in Slack. Andrew, you can have the floor now. Do you mind asking? So yeah, I haven't done Slack today. Sorry, I was at work. Didn't have a chance to check in with that. Andrew, what are your questions?
Can I just read you a question that I think Sarah asked in Slack?
Sure, yeah.
Are you going to test the case, or what should we prioritize if the search flag is on, but the phone numbers are provided?
That's an error.
Okay.
Right. So the command line tool should spit out an error. Shouldn't try to contact the server.
Okay. Are you going to test that?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
Welcome, Sarah.
That was the big one.
That was a big one. Okay. Cool. Sweet. Anything else? Let's see here. Question: are you going to test our programs using the do delete endpoint on our servers? No, I will not. The do delete delete is there for testing for your integration tests. So actually, there's a question about this during ops hours. Some of your integration tests might create some data, and it always helps to clean up after yourself, and you can use the do delete to clean up the test data that you created. Do we need the messages class? No, you don't. The messages class is there to make unit testing a little bit easier because, hey, if you have your servlet that prints out an error, that returns an error message in the HTTP response, then on the test side, you can generate that same message, that same text easily by using that. But no, that's not a requirement of the assignment. As a matter of fact, in some respects, the messages class is a lot like the text dumper, in that it's the thing that formats the responses back to the client. I'm guessing it's like, you had me at no, you don't need it. But anyway, I felt justified. Okay. That's right. Is this going to be on the quiz? No. Okay, then stop talking, old man. That's all right. Okay, anything else in terms of questions? Oh, yeah, David, you had another question?
Yeah, back to my little issue about running it on the wrong port, I guess.
Yeah.
So I changed the port in the pom.xml, right, on which Jetty is going to be deployed. And I mean, was that the move?
Okay, yeah. Well, actually, you probably could do it that way, but there's also a way to do it from the command line. Let me.
I can find that. Okay, if there is, because my integration tests fail once I change the port.
Yeah. Yes. Because you probably need to set it in multiple places. There we go.
That's
right
right
down here at the bottom. Maven. So if what you do is just set the system property here on the command line with the with the dash capital D, and that ought to work. I think
sure.
there's someone earlier.
And then probably just adjust my stuff to work with that port before submitting, test it, and then submit with 8080. Because you're going to be using your own POM file if I specify my own ports.
Yeah, so don't change it. So yeah, I'm pretty sure what I do as part of the grading script is I go choose some random port that's not 8080 because that's other people have been known to use that. So yes, and but by setting this system property ought to work for both the port that Jetty's run on and then also the port that the integration tests connect to.
Awesome. And then I just remember that you said you run our tests with like explicitly specified ports each time anyway. So awesome.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Give it a try. Yep. Nice. So if someone has 8080 hard-coded into the integration test, those will fail now. Yeah, I think. But there, if you look at let's see here, it's probably over here in like phone bill, REST IT. So like here, right, we get the host, the port from a system property, which is ultimately set by the pom.xml. So then you shouldn't. So yes, it's hard coded here, but this is the default value of the property. I'm pretty sure when I run it, I set the http.port system property. As a matter of fact, that's probably there in the POM. Let me go see if I can find it. Like that. Oh, looks like I was just looking for it. Okay, that's cool. Oops. Nope, I want to be over here. Where is that used? It's also used here, so that's where I configure it to run the tests. That's where I use to make sure that it's running. And no, I thought I also set it someplace else. Maybe I don't. Where's that HTTP.port set? Oh, interesting. Okay. Does setting the -D work? Let me try it on my own. I would expect it to. So Maven W dash. Well, let's see here. Clean verify dash. Let me just copy it from the assignment. -D. Oh, maybe it. Oh, maybe that won't work. Should. Maybe that means I test on 8080. I can't remember now. But I have been testing a couple people's submissions and the script works, so I think should be okay. Meanwhile, while I'm running that, I'll ask I got a couple questions that came in regarding HTTP error codes. You mentioned appropriate ones should be returned. Picking HTTP codes could be subjective, so there's specific values that we need to return that make that the tests are expecting. Basically, I'm not, hey, if you return a 404 or a 412, I think it'll be okay. But I want something in the 400 series. I don't want 500. I don't want like internal server error to be returned when I send bogus input. So like if I give a date that's malformed or a phone number that's malformed, then it should return something in the 400 series. It shouldn't get like a null pointer exception or index out of bounds exception, which then gets turned around and sent back as a 500. So that's my stance on that. I wasn't overly prescriptive about HTTP error codes. Maybe I should be. Maybe it would help. But actually, I said say something in the 400 series so that you'll go out and learn about what's in the 400 series to make a good choice. Can we use message class in the phone bill servlet? Yes, you may. Nothing wrong with using it. You don't have to. Sorry, there's another question. Can we get rid of all the dictionary-specific code for Project 4? Yes. Any code that you don't need, you should get rid of. Why bother having excess code? There's more stuff you got to test, or if you don't test it, it'll lower your code coverage score. So get rid of any code that is not necessary. Can we use, answer that already. REST tells you with status code to use in most cases. Yes, there might be standards out there to, or best practices out there to leverage. Yep, feel free to research that. So, but yes, 400 series are good. Hard-coded ports in unit tests fail on your machine. Well, they didn't on mine. So I just ran with port 8888. Let's just make sure that it went through everywhere. Yep, looks like the connector was there, and it looks like the yeah, all of my integration tests pass. So, so the way I hard coded the value was, using this port here, and it either uses the system property or it uses that default value. So if you're doing the same thing here, that's fine. If you added additional tests that hard code 8080 in other places, yes, you should replace that with port. I don't know if you did that or not, though. Did anybody do that? Just curious. Because I'm guessing Project 4 IT has something similar, right? Yeah. Okay. These are all good questions, by the way. And I'm glad that we're sort of diving into the weeds and some of this stuff. I take that as a sign that everybody is well into the project. I hope that that most people have been able to read what's on Slack and take what's been in the screencast and make good progress. See another question. With the possibility of port number clashes, and since code is not being shared, can we leverage /test against other student servers? That is a possibility, and that's a bug on my side. Let me think on that. However, because each of you is probably using a slightly different text format, the clients and servers are probably not compatible. So then And if I see that, hey, you know, someone's client like isn't able to work with the server, that's probably a sign that something's screwed up. So over the years, it's happened a couple of times where like somebody's Jetty hasn't shut down correctly. But it's something that, you know, I know about, and so it's unlikely. And in here again, if you know, get back your grade and it's like, what, this worked fine for me, and you know, we can always talk about it. I'm hoping to get stuff graded this weekend and then get you feedback early next week. So let's see here. Another question: if we can't connect to the server from the command line due to an invalid host or invalid port, should it always output the default connection refuse connect, or is it possible to change the error message? Well, all depends on what you mean by invalid. I mean, so if your port is not an integer, you've probably detected that somewhere, and we'll issue an you know, the appropriate error message that way. If it is a port, if by invalid you mean it's a host or it's a port on which no one's listening, no, you'll probably just get connection refused connect. And actually, in that's okay to print out. I mean, it'd be nice if you could sort of say, oh yeah, I was trying to connect and I couldn't, because I think what you get is a connect exception, right? I mean, there's the type of the exception gives the code a good indication of what went wrong there. Let's see here. A question about, there's a URL here that's /phone bill /calls / customer equals customer & word equals word. This displays a phone bill. Should this raise an error because of the word? No, I don't think it should. You know, in general, in HTTP, you can have extra parameters on the URL, and you ignore them. Right, you know, okay, if there's extra garbage there, I mean, I suppose you could, you know, return with an error, but it's okay to ignore them, and no, that will not be tested. Let's see here. Oh yeah, okay, following up on that question about the, hey, what happens if you can't connect? Is it still considered user-friendly if you just say, you know, connection refused, connection, or whatever it is? Yes, I guess I don't want to see a stack trace though. So even if you're just printing the message from the exception, that'll be fine. Really, you know, I called that out because that's new functionality in Project 4, right? Project 3 didn't connect to a server, and also I just wanted to re-emphasize that it's like, no, hey, this is a situation where you know, should have a nice error message. Don't just have a stack trace that goes all over the screen. Yep. Ah, yes, HTTP 418. I'm a teapot. Yep, right up there with the UDP over carrier pigeon RFC. Let's see here. Oh yeah, more questions about the phone bill REST client. So the constructor seems to take an int for the port. It doesn't seem to. It does take one. Yep. And curious to know how this is. Oh, and this, which clashes with the definition of port in the integration tests. Well, port is a string, which is true because system.getProperty takes a string. I suppose I could do integer.getInteger or whatever the name of that method is that you will get you the system property, but I convert it. I say integer.parseInt down here, so that way, if you know, if for whatever reason port isn't a valid integer, it will get caught here when you attempt to create a phone bill REST client. Yep. Nice. Okay. Good questions. Thanks for diving into all this stuff. All good things. Anything else? Okay. Okay, not seeing any more questions, so let's move on. Tonight, we are going to start looking at Android development. Oh. Don't be afraid of not asking the right questions. Nope, nothing. Don't be afraid. You know, and seriously, what I've found over the years, both from my own experience and the experience of others, is that if there's something that you don't understand, you're not the only person that doesn't understand it. And it's actually, you know, like the brave and the smart person that I'll say, you know what, hey, hi, this is me. I don't understand this, and you'll get your question answered. and you'll get all your questions answered, as opposed to the people that don't ask, don't really get their questions answered, and they make some assumption and they get it wrong, right? And they spend time implementing one thing and it's going to be another, or there's something that could be answered quickly. So please don't be afraid to ask questions. And the question, should someone also always use a non-default HTTP port when you run on the CS Linux systems? Wouldn't hurt. You probably don't want to choose 8888 because that's also in the assignment. Just choose some other number and some 4-digit number, and it's unlikely to be used. 4 or 5-digit number, anything less than 65,000. Excellent. So on to Android development. I want to start off with a quick survey. So a couple weeks ago, I prepared a screencast that showed how to get started with your Android environment. And I got some anecdotal evidence on Slack that, yep, people went through that and they were able to set up their environment. So I'd like you to vote with a yes and the no button. Have you already installed Android Studio and were able to run a out-of-the-box application? Okay, I got one no in that. Boy, looks like okay. Well, looks like the vast majority of people have, and there's about 10 or 11 people that have not. So let's see here. So and it looks like a couple of people have tried. Maybe a couple of people have run into problems. So let's see here. I want to make sure that those people get some support, but I also don't want to, have everybody who's already got things working not be able to, I don't know what you're going to do for the rest of the time then. So let's see here. How about we do the following? What I'm going to do actually is I'm going to okay. So I'm going to start out with sort of a tour through the Android application. Look at the source code, maybe change a little bit of stuff, things like that. And we'll do that for like, I don't know, half an hour or so. And then we'll take a break. Actually, okay, so I got one other question though. I'm going to clear all the things. And so if you answered no, which is perfectly fine, if you answered no, can you please indicate whether or not you have already done the mob programming? Yes, no, yes, yes, 2 no's. 3 no's. Okay. Well, gee whiz. Okay. So let's look there. So here's the thing I was going to say. Oh, great. While other people are off mob programming, I could help the people get their Android environment set up. But it looks like there's a couple of people, maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4. Okay. So that's not going to work. Okay. Well, so then maybe we'll do that towards the end of class, and most people can leave early then. So let's do the following. I'm going to start up Android Studio. Actually, I'm going to quit IntelliJ because having both IntelliJ and Android Studio and Zoom running at the same time for me might be a bit of a challenge. So, Android Studio. So as I talked about in that introductory video and in the lectures and things like that, Android development leverages many of the skills that you've already built up over the course. Obviously Java programming, but also building projects and writing tests and object-oriented programming and all of that good stuff. But there's a whole bunch more, and in particular, let's see here, app phone bill. That's a good project. And in particular, there's a lot more to building an Android application, and there's a lot more tools that can help you along the way. And so the developers of Android worked with the IntelliJ people to come up with Android Studio, which is a customization of IntelliJ, which is meant for Android development. And so then this should be a familiar environment to most people, but there are some new things to take a look at. So the first thing I'm going to do, I guess, is just run the application. You guys saw this in the video. And when you run an Android application, yes, you can deploy it to a physical device if it's plugged into your machine. But what we're going to do, both for development and then when I test your Android apps, is I'll run it under an emulator. In particular, I'm going to run it under the Pixel 2 emulator. So this emulates Pixel 2 device, and the API level will be 30. And so then the way you do this is just run the application, just like you ran a program in IntelliJ. And what this will do is several things. First of all, boots up the emulator. So here we have an emulator that, excuse me. Oh, I guess I run this before. It already has my phone bill installed. And so now when I interact with it, oh, sorry. Sorry, so a friend of ours just went by. Now when I interact with it, it ought to do something. Yeah, there it goes. It goes between the first and the last fragment. Oh, it might have even crashed. What was that? Or maybe I just went back in time. Oh, no, I'm sorry. All that time, it had been rebuilding and redeploying it. And now I've got my my app back again. Oops, IntelliJ, so I lost my emulator. And so, you know, the emulator, I got to admit, I think this is super cool stuff, right? The fact that I can choose from basically any supported Android device, and I can get a software version of it that behaves just like the physical one. And so then, you know, here you've got something that looks like the phone, and you can, you know, adjust the volume, you can rotate it from side to side. Let's see here. And so this allows you to, oops, come on. There we go. This allows you to test out how your application behaves, right? Because you know, I talk a little bit about this in lectures, but hey, you rotate the device, and that sends a signal to your app saying, "Wait a second, now I'm being displayed in a different orientation." And here's my new orientation, and so then maybe your app looks different, right? We can all think of apps. For me, canonical examples like the YouTube app, where like you go from portrait to landscape, and it lays things out differently. It shows you different information. I think that's really cool. It really leverages the tactile nature of the device, and it lets you do different things based on how you're interacting with it. Let's see here. You can take a screenshot. You can adjust all sorts of things about this. So you've probably noticed by the tone of my voice, I think this is neat stuff. I think this is fun and this is exciting, and I hope you share the same excitement because you know, this is just order of magnitude more interesting, also more complex than the applications that we've been developing up to date. But you can get all sorts of stuff about, you know, the camera and you can even like send SMS messages and stuff like that to simulate phone calls coming in. Again, things that you'll want to do while developing your app, right? You know, so what happens when a phone call comes in? I think you can have fingerprint support and stuff like that. So anyway, register different stuff there. Lots of fun to be had. Now, granted, for this assignment, you're not going to be having like, you know, fingerprint authentication support or anything like that. But what, you know, I encourage you to take a little while, just poke around. You know, see what there is, because there's all sorts of cool stuff available to you. And you know, the reason that the Android people provide is they want you to use all this functionality. You know, there's a lot in it for them to have, you know, very fully featured and exciting applications, because then people buy their phones because of it, right? So anyway, here is the application running, and so then you can see it here in the phone, and you can interact with it in various ways. I'm sorry, there should be a menu there. Okay, there's a little settings button that does nothing, and that's fine. This is just a toy application out of the box. And then there's a little bit of navigation between fragments, and you click on this little button right here, and it pops up. Is this a toast? Is that I forget the name of that thing right now. Anyway, and then you can interact with the with the app using the same buttons you know, that you do with the phone. So this one will go back to, oops, here it goes, go back to the see all the apps screens, and then you can kill it by flicking up like that. Okay. So anyway, so that's running your application underneath the emulator. I'm actually going to leave it running while we start looking at the source code. So as you can imagine, there's all sorts of stuff behind this. So let's look at the source code tonight. There's, I guess we don't need the generated Java code. We need, oops, there we go, the resources. So when it comes to interacting with your application, all of the logic is implemented in Java. Actually, you can implement in different languages too, and then compile it down to the Android VM and the Android runtime and everything like that. I explain all this in the lectures. But in terms of what we do, we write stuff in Java. So now in projects 1, 2, and 3, your program started with the main method, right? So you ran your program, and then the first line of code that was executed, line of your code that was executed, is in the main method. And for the servlet, it was a little different, right? You started up Jetty, and we deployed the web application, and and using reflection, your servlet was instantiated, and then your servlet sits there until a request comes in for it. And there's a similar concept to that in Android development. In that, you start up your app. Well, you start with your device, you deploy your app, you start up the app, and it creates what's called the main activity. So activities are essentially screens in Android applications. Again, the lecture goes into way more detail here. And so this class implements the first activity that people see. And much like you overrode the do-get and do-post method to have the Jetty runtime interact with your code, the same thing happens here in Android. You've got methods like Oncreate, and Oncreate is invoked when the application is created, when the application starts up. There's a whole life cycle for Android applications, and I go into it in gory detail in the lecture. And you do need to know this stuff, because some of the things that I'll test is like, hey, what happens when I switch to a different application? What happens when I kill your application? Sorry, when I destroy your app? There's no nice word for it. When I stop your application, and then bring it back up again, does it handle those life cycle events appropriately? So, and by the way, for those of you who might not watch the video, this was all a canned application that IntelliJ created for me as a way of getting started. So let's talk about the Oncreate method, because this explains sort of how to get started with the with Android. So the first thing that you do, so a main activity extends this app compat activity, which is an Android. Actually, yeah, you saw it there. It's off in some Android package that is it's an activity that has compatibility with old libraries and stuff. So okay, that's nice. You don't really care. You override the Oncreate method, and what it does is it lays out the UI. So so this isn't so much about interacting with the UI as it is just displaying it. So it does this with a set content view, which says, hey, this is the content of this activity, right? An activity has as a screen, right? It has, oh, here are the UI widgets that are laid out in this activity. And it refers to this thing called r.layout.main activity. And so I want to talk about that now. So Java is really good for expressing behavior, right? It's got, for loops, control structures, and it's got, methods that can be invoked and everything like that. Behavior is really good at. When it comes to representing like state, when it comes to representing like a document or like a whole bunch of objects all glued together, the language syntax isn't really all that good, right? You have to like create another object, then add to this other object and put that in the third object. It's kind of hard to read. It's not what Java was designed for. For those of you who are familiar with JavaScript, the JSON object format is this nice thing that the JavaScript language has, right? So it says, oh great, I can express a JavaScript object using this format, which is pretty human readable, and it's nice and sparse. It's lightweight. Java is not, right? So the designers of the Android API said, okay, well, we actually have Java objects that represent all of the UI widgets. So, I mean, you go and look at your, oops, I'll bring it back again. There we go. I can bring up my phone bill application again. This button right here, this toolbar, this text, all this stuff, they're represented as Java objects at the end of the day, or they're objects inside the VM, and you can write Java code to create all of that stuff. Laying it out and positioning everything and configuring everything, making it localizable, that's a real pain to do in Java. There ought to be a better way. And so then the Android people have, well, let's see here. Let's just go to R here. I thought that would, oh, there we go. So if you navigate to this in Android Studio, there we go. What this brings you to is this XML file, which represents the which represents the UI. So if any of you are familiar with HTML, right, you know, you have a document that's represented as these tags that are hierarchical, that are nested, so you know which UI element is inside and beside, and all that stuff relative to everything else gets laid out. And Android takes a similar approach. They use XML so that everything's nice, well-formed. It's not as loosey-goosey as HTML is. And all of, and then this XML file represents things like, okay, well, the toolbar, and the toolbar is right up here in the widget. Sorry. And then it's got this. Let's see here. And you can configure things like the color of the toolbar, and so it's this this primary color, which is designed. Which is specified over here. I guess its definition isn't there, and that's fine. Definition is someplace else. Let's go backwards, please. Okay.
Do they have? Oh,
yep.
sorry, David.
No,
Do they
go
have
ahead.
integrated? Do they have an integrated like color wheel or color picker that you can like?
Yep. What they do have is design mode right here. And so what this design mode here renders and gives you a, oh gosh, does anybody even use the term WYSIWYG? What you see is what you get. Anyway, a rendering of that XML. And so, yeah, I think when it comes to design, this is way easier to deal with, right? And so you can go up here and say, great, this is your toolbar. And so your background, instead of being, this color primary, you can then choose, I guess these are some ones that are already there in the palette for the application, but you can also, yep, here's your color wheel. And so then, yeah, you can, have reds, you can have blues. Oh, this isn't working the way I thought. And then I want blue. There we go. Cool. And so now I can choose this blue instead of that purple, or I can, like, let's just have a green. And so, okay, cool. I do that, and it updates it here in the WYSIWYG. And then if you go and look at the code, you'll see that the background is now custom. Actually, I'm going to undo that quickly because I realize I haven't. Look at all that. It remembers all this stuff. I haven't checked in this code, and it'll be very helpful if I do, because then as I make changes, we'll be able to see what the differences are. So let's see here. Everything. Oh, I want to view in. Oops, I can't remember where this stuff lives. Group by directory. Great. Here's everything in phone bill Android. I'm going to commit all of this. Added Android application created by IntelliJ. And note that for project 5, I don't have a create script. Oops. I don't have a create script that goes and creates a project for you. Please start it in in IntelliJ. Cool. Go ahead and commit. A couple questions have come in. I'm assuming since you download a specific virtual device that will match the color profile for the screen, so what you see has the color accuracy of what you're programming on the computer monitor. Yes. I don't know how accurate the colors are. I mean, I would assume that it's the same. Well, actually, you know, things like by using this, you know, primary color from the where is that? Is this in the project? This is in the project, isn't it? Oops, sorry. Wait a second. Values. This is, what's the name of this file? This is values.xml. Okay, this is not. Where's this thing come from? Oh, this thing comes from something inside this app compat. Yeah, 1.1. So this is not something that's part of the application. This comes from a library. And so then, yes, you know, it might be that when that's actually deployed on different devices, that you do get some sort of device specific or default device environment unless you override it, which is good, right? I mean, more so, well, because there are different manufacturers of Android devices. You know, applications can look slightly different depending on the devices they're running on, and that's just the way Android is. Yep, I agree with you, Roland, that different hardware profiles will make things look different. Oh, someone points out that the directory structure is slightly different. I might just be looking at a different view. Let's see here. Since I just pushed my stuff to GitHub, actually, I'll just go and look at that and then post. Let's see here. I think this is my. Yep. Here is. Hello. Oh, oopsie. Am I like in like the wrong Portland State Java phone bill Android? Am I on some branch? How come I don't see that? Nope, I'm on the main. Main. Did I not push it? What's going on? Thought I pushed it. Git push. Nope, I did not. Sorry. Oh yeah, right. I'm an Android view, and there's also project view, which looks more like standard IntelliJ. I think most of the stuff is yeah. I mean, I like Android view when working in Android. And so then if you're concerned about hey, does your file structure match mine? I've now put it here in my GitHub. Okay. So let's see here. Let's continue taking a tour through the code. So what we've got here is, let's just go back and do that again. You've got this editor that allows you to, sorry, I'm doing all the Zoom windows here. That allows you to choose various things. Oh, neat. That, I guess, oh, that gives you the resource viewers. Okay, that's neat. And so now we can, again, choose some other color. It's a little weird. Let's make that blue color instead. It's a nice blue color. So yeah, it gives you all that information and then allows you to select it. And if you go back to the code, yep, you see that this line has changed. It even in the gutter here gives you a little preview of what the color looks like. That's nice, right? So, oh yeah, right, that's that dark blue that I like so much. And then you can navigate. I'll do that again because it happened real fast. One of the things that Android Studio allows you to do is then navigate to where in the Java code. So this is the C, the related context Java file, the class for that ends up using this, and then it brings you right here. So they've this thing I appreciate about IntelliJ. I find this to be very intuitive and very helpful, especially as you're getting started, where you're like, there are all these files, and how do they fit together, and how do I find them? IntelliJ feels your pain and makes it easy for you to just navigate between things. So again, you can navigate to that right here because IntelliJ knows all about your application and can stitch everything together. Okay, let's see what else is here. So let's go back to our code again, our main activity. Okay, so we say here's the layout. We get the okay. So we set the layout there. So we set the we set the content there, in the set content view. And then we need to go get the toolbar object. And so then toolbar is defined here in this, again, it's a different part of that activity XML file. And I talk about it in the lecture. You can give your UI elements IDs so you can reference them in the Java code. And the way you do that is you say r.id. R is this like magical object that gives you a reference to all of your widgets, like by their ID or whatever. And so you can go and look that up there to find the toolbar object. So here at runtime, what this does is it goes and finds the Java object that has that ID and returns it here, and you can do stuff with it. In this case, we're going to say set support action bar for this activity. Finally, what we do here in the Oncreate is we go find a different object, which here is our floating action bar. R is an object provided by Android. Yes, it is. So it's they do some wacky things with the source code and compiling and all of that, and so you get this R object, which has these magical properties and stuff. So yes, that is actually, I think it's a class. Is that right? Let me go. What is this thing? It is a class. And you really, okay, it doesn't let you navigate to it because it doesn't have source code, right? Because it's magic. And then the compiler, when it compiles, it does, it probably replaces that with all sorts of different calls and stuff like that. So what you can do is you can look up, just like up here, you look up an object by its name and then you do things with it. In this case, you get the floating action button that you've defined here, and you've given it some layout constraints. I'll go into this in the lecture. I'm not going to cover it too much tonight. And then you can register an event handler on it. So one of the things that's different about user interface programming is that you need to figure out how to interact with the user. So, unlike your command line program where you give your command line arguments and it reads them and it does this thing and then it exits, user interfaces, and I guess servlets the same way, where it's like your program starts up and then it's waiting for someone to interact with it. Now, for your servlet, it's waiting for an HTTP request to come in and handles it appropriately. For your Android application, it's waiting for a user to click on a button, to swipe on the screen, to type in some text, all of that kind of stuff. It's waiting for all of that to happen. And the way you respond to that interaction with from the user is with something called a listener. So you have an object, you have a UI widget like your floating action button, and just to be clear, what I'm talking about here is this thing right here with the letter, I guess, on it, because like when you click it, it says, "Oh, replace with your own action." And so then what the when you register, and so in order to have it respond, so when the user clicks on the on that button, on that floating action button, it's going to respond with that little pop-up right there, something called a snack bar. The way that you write this in code is that you say, hey, listen, when this floating action button is clicked, so it's going to set an on-click listener, I'm going to give it an object that implements the algorithm, basically, that responds to that click. And so then the way you do this is you create an anonymous inner class that implements the on-click listener interface. And it has one method called onClick that takes a view object. The view object, in this case, will be the floating action button that was clicked on. And we're going to call this Android API called snack bar, which is the thing that pops up that little message there. And it's going to, we're going to do the following. We're going to say, hey, make me a new snack bar based on that relative to that view. The text is going to be replaced with your own action, right? Because when you click on this, it says replace with your own action. That's that text right here, replace with your own action. We want it to be up for a long period of time. And let's see here, set action. I don't remember what set action does exactly. Oh, interesting. I'm not sure what that does, but then show it will actually go and display it after you click on it. Now, you don't need to take my word for it, because this is, well, because this is modern software. One of the things that you can do with Android applications is run it under a debugger. So now what I'm going to do, let's see, I'm going to stop the, well, actually, probably I'm just going to launch the debugger, and that will restart the emulator, I'm pretty sure. Let's see here. It's thinking about it down here. It's got to build it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set some breakpoints, one here and then one there. Okay, it looks like it's redeployed my application. It's saying waiting for debugger to attach. IntelliJ is attaching to debugger, and poof, okay, my application is started up, and now my Oncreate method is invoked. Let's just take a look at the stack trace real quick. Oh, sorry, someone had a question about Gradle. Yeah, Gradle is the successor to Maven. So yes, Gradle is the tool that builds Android applications. And so then, yeah, you probably saw some Gradle stuff go by, and if you build it from the command line, you'll be using Gradle. Good question. So here I am in the debugger, and I'm attached to my emulator. My application hasn't completely started up yet. Some parts of it have, but it hasn't displayed the UI, for instance. So I've hit this line in the debugger, and it's a debugger. You can take a look at all this stuff. So for instance, here you've got like the toolbar variable. And toolbar is okay, this is this toolbar class, and you can find out all sorts of information about it. Probably not very interesting. But you can also, see information that's inherited in the main activity. All sorts of cool stuff like that. And now the application is starting up, and so now I can navigate. Actually, I don't want to step into it. I want to step over. So it'll go find that that floating action button, and there it is. Let's see if I can find the ID real quick. It looks like I cannot. There it was. Oops, HIJKL. There it is. Okay, its ID is some big old number, so it's not its other thing that was in the XML file. That's fine. And now I'm going to register this click listener. And that's the last thing in my Oncreate method, so I'm just going to continue on from there. And now my application has started up. Great. And I can start interacting with it. I can click on this thing up here. It's on the menu. Has no settings. But now when I click the this pop-up up here, my debugger stops because I had just clicked on that floating action button. And so when that happens, this code right here is invoked by the internals of the floating action button and says, hey, okay, I was just clicked. That button doesn't know how to respond. And instead, it delegates that responsibility off to the click listener. And so now I make the snack bar. I'm going to set the action, and it's going to show it. And I guess it probably doesn't do it all the way until I return, and poof, there it is, replaced with your own action, and it goes away after a moment. So I'm walking you through all of this because this is how you develop your Android application. You're going to write some code and you debug it. It's just like writing regular Java code. But what you're building isn't a command line application, isn't a REST API, it's an Android application. I want to pause here for questions because I've been talking for a while. I need to drink water. Ooh, why inner abstract classes versus normal ones? They're anonymous classes. They're not abstract. There actually is an instance created there, but it's anonymous and that doesn't have like a name of its own. Yeah, versus normal ones. I prefer the in almost all cases, I prefer to use anonymous inner classes for listeners because I like having the listener code very close to the objects on which it's invoked. I find that a little easier to understand. It doesn't work in every case. Sometimes, if there's like a listener or something that's used across multiple buttons, or hey, let's say you've got a menu bar that does the same thing as your as a menu that does the same thing as a toolbar. Yes, you might want to use the same thing, although there's probably better ways to do it there. It's really just style. Are lambdas supported yet? I can't remember. No, it's import on demand. I don't remember if the Lambda syntax is supported yet in Android. How about someone look that up? And actually, well, I can look it up too. Duh. Java Lambda Android. Okay, it looks like it does. You probably have to use more modern versions of the Android tools, but that is, yeah, that's something, and I think you ought to be able to use it. Let's see here, you got to configure some stuff here. Like, I don't know if I'm using that for this or not. Am I? Oops, hello? Really? So I guess I'm not using it right now. Yeah, that'd be interesting. I think it'd be okay to give it a try. Yeah, see if you can get it to work. But yes, limited use. And so then my experience has been that Android isn't all about you having the latest and greatest Java stuff. It's about having the latest and greatest Android stuff. And so hey, how much? Because the way Android works is that it has its own Java compiler. And so then it's not like it just uses OpenJDK or whatever. It needs its own compiler to convert the source code into something that runs on the Android runtime. And so then you support more features from the language, the Java language, and then you got to add all that stuff into your compiler. So and they got to make it work and they got to make it performant. Let's see your question. When we develop for Project 5, should we be testing on a particular device and OS version? Yes, that's in the assignment, I believe. Actually, maybe that's where I should go next before we break. Yeah, it's Pixel 2 API, API 29. I think I'm using API 30 now. Let's just do 29. That's from the winter. It should be okay. So in a nutshell, this is, well, actually, sorry. There are a couple of other pieces, parts that I want to talk about. So yeah, I think I did use 30 in the video. So let's use 30. I think it'll be okay. There's not too much of a difference between 30 and 29 and 30 anyway. So let's see here. There are also these fragments that are created by what I really want to talk about was here in the resource directory. So we already looked at the, let me just go back to that. Here in the layout directory under res for resources, they have these XML files that again describe the UI, all the pieces parts of the UI. They also have resource files for other things. So there's these XML files that describe. I think this is what the when the application is launched. It says what's there in the foreground and what's there in the background. Okay, it's kind of neat that it all happens out of the box. You can define menus in resource files also. So here's like this settings thing, and so you can go look to see what a menu item is all about and how to work with it. But here, it's rendered as this settings and settings. Oh, that was nice. The word settings is localizable, meaning that it's a string that can be translated into different languages. And so here in the values, in the values resource, you have something called strings.xml, which then lists the name of each type of string, and then the particular value of it for that locale. And I go into some detail about this in the lectures. Anyway, I think the main takeaway here is that there's a number of parts to your Android application, and the logic of the application is implemented in Java. And there are Android APIs that you leverage for all of this stuff. Android, APIs, Java, Android classes that represent the UI widgets. And then there's also a bunch of configuration files. Sorry, I got to sneeze. that configuration files, XML files that represent other things about your application, such as how the UI is laid out. Some of this stuff. Oh, okay, cool. This is how you navigate things. I don't know if that's really what you want to use for your application, but it's a neat way to start. Okay, before we break, I want to then talk about the assignment. So we got a very cursory overview of Android development, and here's what you're going to do with it. So your final project in the class is implementing an Android application for your phone bill, right? We've gone from a command line, we started in a file, we made it look pretty, we put it in a server, and now it's in an Android application. This is a big one, 15 points, because it's the most complex and the most fun. And it is due in August 12th, which I can't believe is only 2 weeks away. So it's basically due before the last class in the final exam. And yes, before anybody asks, during the last class, which, wow, is that really next week? Yep. Next week, I will talk all about the final exam and what to expect there. Okay, so unlike projects 1, 2, 3, and 4, there's not very much specification. I want you to use your creativity to explore various aspects of Android development and what you can do with it. There's really great documentation online. As you can see, a simple Google search takes you to an official piece of documentation from Android on how to work with it. And so then, I think this one, there's, for this project, there's a goodly amount of research that you can do in terms of learning how to use Android, how to build an Android application, and all the cool stuff that you can leverage. And so what I'd like you to do is write an Android application that has all of the functionality of the previous assignment. So creating a phone bill, entering calls, printing phone bills, searching for calls, saving calls to a file, stuff like that. Oops, details about the entry point. Sorry, it's a little not quite fleshed out yet. But again, there's not too many requirements for the user interface. I'd like there to be a help menu with a README menu item. That is what displays your README. And then I want a reasonably intuitive user interface for doing all these things that you do with phone bills, right? Creating a phone bill and its calls and displaying it and searching and stuff like that. When it comes to error reporting, please use pop-ups or a little snack bar, or like whatever we saw there, to alert the user that something goes wrong. I don't want your application to crash. I don't want something super big and ugly. I don't want to see a stack trace or whatever. Just leverage what Android provides for providing small pieces of information to the user. Don't use a pop-up for displaying the contents of a phone bill, though. That's ugly and hard to read. And so then figure out a different way to display the text or to display the phone bill in a nice way. And again, really, the primary purpose of this tool of this project is to get experience using Android and to apply some creativity to your work. So that's why there's less constraints, less specification for this assignment. Now, a couple of things about submitting the project. I have a different tool that I use to submit this because there's it's more than just Java files and a couple of text files. There's a lot of stuff. You can have images. You could have sound files. Please don't. You can have all sorts of stuff in there. And so here I wrote a different. And so you don't use the regular submit program. You use a submit Android project program that will zip everything up and send it off to me. And because I'm more lenient in what you submit in this project, I have a different tool to do that. Now note that I will not run the Android code on the CS Department's Linux machines. I'm going to run them here on my own machine under the emulator, which is not available on the CS Department's Linux machines. And because no one's on campus, it's not like, hey, if I went and found some lab and installed Android, you'd be able to do it. This is why it's really important that everybody be able to develop on their own machine, because even there's not an option of using the school's machines there. So here's what you do to submit it. Any questions about the requirements before we dive into the sort of like how the application works or how the code is built? Not client server, right? Yes. Yep. This is all standalone. This is all one contained application. Although I do want you to write out to the Android file system when the application is closed, or when a phone call is added, I guess. Yep. So you grade this project by playing around with our phone bill app on your PC. Yes. Yes, for persistence. So unlike Project 4, where everything is resident in memory, in Project 5, you will use your text dumper to write to a file again, because there's a file system available to your application on the Android device. Let's see, there is a POA. Oh, and if you want to mock out something, feel free to use a tool called Balsamic, which I think this link still works. Oops. Yep, it lets you do wireframes. It's got a free evaluation version. I like it. Let's see here. With the timeline, this project not likely to be one for regrade, correct? Yeah, experience shows that this is really not an opportunity for regrading. Experience also shows is that most people get it working fine the right time. The first time. You know, with I found that students are a little bit more engaged with this than in other projects. And unlike the command line stuff, there's, it's not like, oh, you're not going to since there's no command line specification, you're not going to get that wrong. That's a source of a lot of errors for people. And I think by now, since they're not really adding any new functionality, new behavior requirements, most people get it right. So, but just like with every project, please start it early to make sure that you know what needs to be done. Question about do we need to do unit integration tests on this project? No, you don't. I'm not going to measure your code coverage on this one, mainly because I don't have a super good tool for it. But I think I've made you test enough, and you get it. You can absolutely write unit tests. You can absolutely write unit integration tests. There's good documentation on how to do that. You can write Android programs, test-driven development. But I think I've put you through enough when it comes to code coverage and unit testing. I think you've learned what I want you to learn. So hey, let's have some fun with this one. And yep, your code will definitely be better if you write tests for it. I'm not going to assess it though. Are we assuming one or multiple phone bills for this Android project? Multiple, please. And so then I guess then it's up to you what you name the file on the disk. I'll have plenty of office hours the next 2 weeks, right? Yes, but honestly, I've found that most students, dive into this themselves. Please watch the lectures to get a better idea of what the pieces parts are, and I'll talk more about this next week. I'll go into some more details because we won't have a mob programming activity next week, so we'll probably spend the entire time talking about Android. That'll be fun, I hope. But assume a single user. Yes, there's only one user in this application, but they might manage multiple phone bills. POA 5 is not due by this Sunday at 5:30. It's the Sunday before it's due, so that would be August 12th, since that's the 9th or something. 72 hours before that. Did I get all the questions? I think I did. Good questions. Oh, more. Can we save all the calls to one file, or should we save multiple files by customer? I don't care. I'm not going to look at the files on disk. I'm just going to demonstrate that, like, I create a phone bill, I quit your application, I bring it back up again, and the phone bill is still there. Glad it sounds good. Sounds good to me too. Okay. So I hope a lot of you have already done this. Yeah, get started with Android by going to that page, download Android Studio, walk through the instructions to create the emulator for the Pixel 2, API 29 or API 30. And here again, I put together that screencast for that. In terms of the application behavior, I'd like you to use, I'd like you to make sure that the phone bill persists after the app is open and closed. Sorry, wait, in the app being quiet. That is, so after closed or killed, the data should still be available. There's this internal storage API that basically gives you a Java IO file. So hopefully that works well with your code. Here's how I'm going to build it. So I'm going to take that zip file that's created by the submission program, and I'm going to unzip it. And so please make sure that you submit all of your files. Questions came in: do we have to store it in text, or can we use object serialization? You know what? Hey, if you want to get serialization working, and you can do so, I think you can. Yeah, go for it. If that seems easier. But you have your stuff in Project 3, and that probably works. So, but yeah, hey, this is all about being creative and learning new stuff. So, yeah, go for it. What I'm going to do, I'll show it here. Of course, I haven't run this yet, so I hope that works. Gradle, oops. That's the phone bill, Android. There you go, Gradle W, and then I do a clean. Well, this may take a little while because the first time I'm doing it. Oh, what doesn't it like? Starting Gradle daemon, one incompatible daemon cannot be used. Use stats for details. Oh, interesting. Gradle 611. Is this familiar to somebody?
Yeah, when I first tried building the project, I was testing like compiling or whatever, and I got that same error.
What did you do to get around it?
I haven't.
Okay. Oh, huh. Interesting. This is why I should have tried it before class. Oh, I bet I know why. How much do you want to bet it's not going to work with Java 14? I bet it's not going to work with Java 14. Okay, I'll work that out later and get back to people. But in the meantime, work with Android Studio. Of course, I gotta get this working in order to test your code. But I bet it doesn't work with Java 14. So anyway, we'll do the Gradle build there. Make sure that you submit all of your Gradle stuff. And actually, this means that if you want, you can add more dependencies. Of course, you're not parsing the command line anymore, but hey, if you want to go experiment with another Android app, library, or if there's something out there that you find, okay, give it a try. I guess I would sort of advise you that I'm not familiar with that many third-party Android libraries, and so then I might not be able to help you if you twist yourself on some knot. But yeah, go for it. Let's see here. I will not run any automated tests, so they don't have to pass. I'm not going to assess that this time, and then there's no coverage also. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to deploy it to the emulator that I'm running, and then I'm going to test it out. And when I'm done testing it, I'm going to run an uninstall all. I'm telling you all of this stuff so that you can make sure that this works for you, and then most likely it'll work for me. But yeah, I just got to make sure that I'm using the right version of Java as well. So that's project 5. To get started, I recommend that you watch the lectures and start playing around with your code. And then next week we will catch up and start writing some Android code together. Should we use a different version of Java then? Yes. I need to figure out which one. Probably like Java 12 or something. It's whatever. And obviously IntelliJ has got it working, so IntelliJ found some version of Java that works. I need to figure out which one then. Let's see here. Instead of building app from scratch for grading, isn't there a way to deploy just the bytecodes like App Studio does? Yes. But Android Studio also builds it, and I want to see your I want your source code, and I want to be able to build your source code. So please don't just send me binaries. It's also really not secure. Plus binaries are huge and big. So okay, I think it's time for a break. What do you all think? This is where everybody hopefully is like giving it a thumbs up. Yes, I agree. Okay, let's take 15. Let's take let's take a longer break. Let's take like a 19-minute break. Come back at 7:10. And here's what we're gonna do with the rest of class. We're gonna do mod programming. probably until about, I don't know, 8:15 or so. We'll do a report out, and then anybody who wants to stay to get their Android environment up and running is welcome to do so. So if you have already mobbed and you've already gotten your Android environment going, yeah, you can take the rest of the night off. Absolutely, you've done the work that was required for tonight. Feel free to use the time as you would. I recommend that you use it to finish off your project for, because you can always come back to class and ask me questions and stuff. I'm on the clock, or get started on your project 5 if that excites you, or you can watch Felicity if Felicity's on, whatever you'd like. Okay, I will see you in, I guess now, 18 minutes at 7:10. Pause sharing. Okay. So yeah, let's figure out what to do next. So there's like 2 things to accomplish tonight. One is the mob programming, and the other is a number of people have some questions about how to get their Android environment set up. So how about we do this? Let's see, we got a lot of people still here on the line. So I think what I will do is divide people up into mobs. And if you've already mob programmed, but you want to stay around for the Android, I think what I'll do is I'll just start the Android lab, Android, what's the right word for it? Android support group. Now, I'll record it, so it'll be there in the recording, so that anybody can watch and say, "Oh, look, I had that same problem, and now it's fixed." Yeah, Android's anonymous. Yes, exactly. And then we'll get those people squared away because they've already done their mob programming. Hopefully that won't take the entire time that we mob program, and then we'll do the report out from the mob program, and then I'll stay as late as 9:30 to make sure that everybody has their Android environment up and running. So. Sound good? Any questions about that? Okay. Cool. So let's talk about our final kata in the course. How the time flies. So, what did we do last week? Oh yeah, we did the RPN calendar. This week we will do a Minesweeper game. So those of us who are a certain age remember that Minesweeper was a little program that was on Windows 3.1 and then Windows 95. And basically the way that it works, that you have a board that is a rectangle of some sort. And on various phases of the board are mines. And what you do then is, you interact with this, and as you click on, you won't be clicking here, but you basically click on one of these spaces, and it tells you how many mines are surrounded, are adjacent to that space. So if you ask for, hey, how many are here in this top right corner? Well, that's 0. How many are in the second cell right here? Well, that's 1 because it's to the left. And of course, then if you hit the mine itself, then that is the mine and the game's over, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to post this real quick to the, post it to the chat for anybody who's interested. Also put it in the Kata's Kata's channel in Slack. And so then what this kata is all about is that you take a board that looks like this, and then you compute the hint numbers for each of the cells. So for here again, the second cell has 1 adjacent to it. These 2 cells right here have 2 mines adjacent to it. And the program should work for any arbitrary rectangle with some spaces that have mines, and then other space that are represented by asterisks, and then other spaces represented by dots. And then you can use some suggested acceptance tests, which is nice. So you say, hey, there's a 4x4 board. Here's what it looks like, and then it should have this output. Any questions about the kata before we start a mob programming experience? Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to randomly assign people to mobs. If you are not participating in the mob programming, if you want to stay and do some Android lab, just don't go into the room. I'll make sure that there's not a tiny room or anything like that. But yeah, let me go to the breakout rooms here. There are 25, which gives like 5 participants per room. Let's make 4 rooms. Let's go with 5 and see what happens. And so then I will create breakout rooms for everybody. And again, if you want to do mob programming tonight, go into the room. If you're just here for some Android support, stick around here in the main room. I'm going to open up all the, and if you need to do both, do your mob programming, and we'll mob program for an hour. So we'll check back in at 8:15, and then we will do about 15-20 minutes of debrief, talk about the experience, and then if you have your Android environment set up, go ahead and leave for the night. Otherwise, we'll do some more Android setup after that. Any questions before I open the rooms?
Yeah, just one. Since in this particular application here, it may be advantageous for us to utilize some of our existing code from projects 1 through 3, namely like the reading. Can we just copy paste that to get kickstarted? Is that fine?
Yep, that's fine. Yeah. And as a matter of fact, you don't have to read it from a file. As a matter of fact, it's probably easiest to start with just like creating it as an object or something. But do however you want to do. Oops, someone else is in the room. Okay. Okay, I will open all the rooms. So people should be receiving an invite. Hey, Ted, you just joined. Here's the deal. If you're here for mob programming, I will assign you to a room. Actually, I'll assign you to a room. And but if you've already done mob programming, you just want to get your Android, if you just want some help getting your Android environment set up, then just stay here in the main room. Okay, looks like there are 8 of us still here, so that's fine. Actually, there's 7 because like Ronnie's here twice. 6. Cool. Okay. Okay, well, they're in their breakout rooms. And so then, yeah, so for those of you who are still here, tell me about your experience with your Android so far and what you've got working, what isn't working, what you'd like help with.
I guess I'll go. I got my project working again. Trying to add the Android project just messed up a bunch of stuff. I don't know if it's because I had IntelliJ open with the same project and maybe it messed with some of the Maven things. I don't know.
Okay. Can you share your screen? We can walk through it.
Yeah, here, let me I was actually just working on this 1 second here.
Yep.
Sorry, I haven't
All right.
just okay. I'm just gonna make a new branch to do it, just so
To create the
project.
yeah, the Android project, sure.
I did all this, but I want to use a different one. Sorry, I should have been prepared.
Yeah, no, don't worry about it.
Okay. Now that that's done, so I'm just going to exit out of that.
Okay.
Let me get up Android. I'm just going to do something new here.
Yep.
I'm going to do this. Let me move this. And you'll notice something right away. So I'm going to add this. So this is here's the actual repo here. Right here.
Okay.
It has all this stuff.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I created mine inside like a phone bill -Android directory. So I don't know if it's going to.
Oh, and like a new one?
Yeah.
Oh, for some reason. Sorry.
Click OK. It's okay. No. Actually, no. That was good what you were doing there. It's just like add Android phone bill -Android at the end of it.
Oh, okay. So do it in the same repo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But in a subdirectory, yeah. So click OK there.
Okay.
And then wait. The save location, add to the end of that.
Oh, okay.
Backslash, sorry. Backslash phone bill -Android. Or like that, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and so let's see here. And then call it phone bill. And then
should this be showing like the star dot, like my last name?
No, it should be edu.pdx.cs410j dot your cs410j dot your user ID. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Only one dot, not two.
Oh. Okay.
And then language, Java.
And I think this is what we want, right?
Yeah, EPA 26 is good. Yeah.
Okay.
You could do 30, but whatever. Okay, let's see here. 6% of devices. Good. Okay, yeah, sure.
Hey, David.
Yeah.
My Zoom had problems. Can you put me back in Breakout Room 2?
Sure. Just a moment, please.
No problem.
Back to meeting. Breakout Rooms. Breakout Room 2. Cameron goes to. Yep, there you are. Sign into Breakout Room 2.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so there you've got cool.
Oh, so this is it, huh?
Oh yeah, but it's not. Oh, it's probably still thinking about it. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So it has. Yeah. So if you look sort of in the bottom of the bottom bar of Android Studio, right? It's doing all sorts of stuff. So give it a minute.
Yeah. Okay.
To sort of get all that squared away.
I wonder if my problem was I don't know. It was really weird. I think it's because I didn't add on to the save directory, that extra directory.
Yep, that was probably it. Yeah.
I don't know how I missed that, but okay.
No, come on. Don't beat yourself up, but it's kind of subtle.
Okay. Well, it looks like it's
looking better. Well, go ahead and run it with the emulator and see.
Oh, yes. Can you remind me? I can pull up the thing here.
How to do it?
Yeah.
You just click the green play button in the top.
Oh, I see. Just add that.
Yeah, and it'll ask you to set up a device, I think. Says no device found. Okay. I guess. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, open ABVD manager.
I had to move that. This.
Nice. Okay. Yep. Create a virtual device.
And then we want the Pixel.
Pixel 2. Yep. That's the default
that
one.
Boy?
Yep. And then sure. Yeah, API 30 is fine. API 30, API 29. That's good. You have to actually click download first because then accept the license.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, hi, Yan. I noticed that you were here. Sorry, I just want to pause this here for a second. Are you looking for a breakout room for mob programming? No? No, it's not your breakout room. Okay, I'll put you. Do you remember which one you were in? Oh. No, we can't hear you. Okay, up now, downloading the entire internet.
Yeah, I do have a quick question for you
Yeah.
about 4.
Mhm.
I just want to be sure the like the actual, when we go to localhost to see all the definition stuff, we don't mess with that for project 4. That's just to show us functionality, right?
Yes, that dictionary application is just a toy application to show you the pieces parts, and I recommend that you review, if you already haven't, the work that we did last week to
Yeah,
evolve that into the
Hey, David.
Hi.
Having a quick question about the project 4. So if I'm going to listen to the poll AAA8, then half of my integration text will be filled inside of IntelliJ. It is a normal behavior.
Oh, into IntelliJ. Yes, that's probably right, because
we have the set property.
That system property isn't set, right?
Okay, so the behavior of the set property is that if there is no default, then you will set the default to A0.
Yep. Now, in IntelliJ, you're probably running on your local machine, and so then you have control over whether or not there's something using port 8080 or not.
Hey, Dave, I have a quick question for you. Sorry to interrupt you guys. I was in Breakout Room 5, and we had a quick question about how to get the project started, like running the script.
Yeah, I'm going to bug over.
If you could
there's a create kata script. I'm just going to bug over to Breakout Room 5 for a moment. Let me pause the.
Could you also go back into my room? There we go. Never mind. I got it.
Yep, no problem.
Exactly.
Is there anything else here? Anything special?
Nope, that looks good. Sweet. So I think you're good. Now you can run the app again. I'm going to pause the recording, and I'll be right back.
I'm good to go. Thank you so much.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay.
Have,
have fun with Android. I'll see you later. Yep.
Yep. See you.
Hey, Luke. How are things going with your Android?
Hey, thanks, Professor, for checking in. I'm just downloading Android because I got a slow-ass internet, but I should be getting it done soon. And then, also one other thing. Okay. So based on our previous conversation, I changed my project for main driver to have no illegal argument exceptions and just to take any phone bill exceptions and just print a user-friendly message. I was wondering if I could send that over to you. You could just run it one more time and see if you've got any more errors from testing, because it works again on my side. But
sounds good.
I'll send it over later.
Okay.
But
did you try it? Yeah, and be sure to run the -p grader on the CS Apartments machines, and then ping me on Slack. For when you submit, and I'll take a look.
Cool. But yeah, I'll run it on the Linux machines first, and then I will ping you. Thanks.
Sounds good. Okay. So go ahead and share your screen if you wouldn't mind. Show me what you're seeing.
All right. I'm at the configure or installation folder. Do I not import any settings?
Yeah, you must have had an older version or something of Android Studio. Don't import any settings there. Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
Cool. I don't know. What do I do?
Up to you if you want to. You can help them out or.
I'm assuming standard.
Yes.
I'll stop sharing now because I think it might be a second to download.
Cool. Yeah. So just pop back in if there's anything else you need.
Sorry about that. Since there was no anything mentioned about short date format in this one, should I include all that, or that was my major doubt?
Oh, were we just slacking about that, or is that somebody else?
Yeah, I was flagging about that because my Git was sort of messed up. So, like the last time you pulled it, there was merge request got collapsed, and I had to remove everything. So I did it in my Linux system, in my PSU system.
Okay.
And I ran and I submitted. So I'm scared of pushing my project 3 into Git and pulling it there because of this. Yeah. So that's why I haven't resubmitted the project 3 yet. So I don't know.
Okay. Well, yeah, those screenshots they sent me looked fine, and I think and like I said, now the date format short technically is only supposed to be used for the toString. But you can use whatever you want for your pretty format, whatever you want for your text format. So if it's working okay for you, and okay. Oh, sorry. This is for project 3 or for project 4?
No, this is for project 4. So if I submit this for project 4, because there is a different folder, my Git will not get disrupted. So it goes things smooth. So I didn't want to go back to phone bill folder in my Git. So it is pretty messed up. So I didn't want to touch that.
Okay, fair enough. I hope you have it working and everything. But yes, the date format short I think is fine the way you're using it.
So for project 4, this is fine, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, I'll go on now. Yeah, thank you.
Right. Cool. Okay.
By the way, how much do you actually pay for your internet? Because like you're downloading like 40 megs a second. I'm paying for 40 megs a second. I've never actually gotten it.
Is it saying 40 megs when I like on my video? Because
well,
I did
I'm
speed it up
video,
when it has the funny music going on in the background. That's
yeah,
sped
well,
up.
it looks like 40 megs a second, and then like I'm getting like 2 megs a second.
I'm on Comcast. I'm on Xfinity, and yeah, well,
I'm on Ziply.
Yeah, so it's Xfinity, and I'm out in the suburbs, and so maybe there was a little less. Of course, I don't know what time of day I was doing that too. Okay, people are coming back in. Time to close all the rooms. People are coming back. Okay. I have no idea how much I pay for my internet. The money comes and the money goes out. I got my PSU habit to like pay for my my internet, or PSU job to pay for my internet. My internet habit. I don't know how that works. Okay. Okay, people are rejoining. Okay, all of the rooms are closed. So let's see here. Well, hey, I poked my head into everybody's. It sounded like there was good stuff happening. This is a very different kata from last week's, and of course, there are different people working on it. So let's see here. I think I started with the breakout room 1 before. I'm going to start with breakout room 5 this time. So Chastity, Theodore, or Ted, and Xinjiang. I'd like to hear about your experiences mob programming. What it was like. How was it from pair programming? What you thought of the experience?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. I'll bite. I thought it was a great experience. Honestly, it wasn't much different than pair programming for us. Our group is pretty small. It's just the 3 of us. But again, it's always nice to have someone there, kind of by your side, to walk you through things when you get caught up on something small or something. So overall, I thought it was a good experience. It's always nice to have someone to bounce your ideas off of. I felt like the time to get going and gather some momentum on the project was probably a lot quicker than it normally would be. Yeah.
Cool. Is there any code you'd like to share with the class? Talk about how you approach the problem?
Yeah, sure. I'll show you what we did. We didn't finish anything, but I can show you kind of how we approached everything. Can you guys see everything?
Yeah, it was good. Quite readable.
Oh, excellent. All right. So yeah, what we did is we just created this like a char, like matrix. So we just had like the length and width, and so we take those in as command line arguments, and then populate our Minesweeper just like a blank board initially. Because ultimately we weren't really sure if we were supposed to like read in a board from the command line or even how you would do that. So we just did it, CS 163 style, which was, made it work. But so essentially, yeah, we come in, we get our like bounds on the array, we populate it with a blank board, and then we populate it with mines and just prompt the user like, hey, where do you want to put a mine? And then we change those indices in the array to a star. And then what we were working on at the very end was essentially just going through each index and counting its, where the mines are and all that. So that's about as far as we got. So not a whole lot, but that is, how we approach it.
Yep, sounds like you're on your way. Cool.
Yeah.
Chastity or Xinjiang, any further comments?
I don't know. It was a lot of fun. I like coding like this. It's a lot less lonely than coding alone. And I like Theodore said, I like being able to bounce off ideas off of other people. I never really get stuck when I'm coding in a group.
Great observation. Okay. Excellent. Thank you, breakout room number 5. Let's go to breakout room number 4. So David, Joel, Robert, and Sean.
I can talk a little bit about my experience. I don't know. It was definitely a lot less lonely than coding alone, but that's not always a good thing. Like for the first 500,000 years of Arcata, I was attempting to read from file, and it took me like longer than usual. And it's like, that's kind of hard, right? Because when you're in front of other people's eyes, making silly mistakes or not being able to figure things out quick is not a good look and kind of, hard. It's like when someone's coding over your shoulder, it's the same feeling like, oh no, they're watching me. And I feel like I make more mistakes then. But the positives is that, people do bring different ideas to the table, and like, it's nice to quickly hone in on a solution because people like say, let's do this, that, the other. That's nice.
Well, thanks for sharing. What are some of the observations of people on your team, Joel, Robert, or Sean?
Yeah, I have to agree with David. It's definitely, well, our group in particular had an experience where it took us very, very long just to get stuff in general and get everyone set up as collaborators, and then just, yeah, stuck on very, very just the initial setup of it. We weren't even able to write tests, actually. We didn't get very far at all, so I don't think it would be necessary to show our code because there's not very much. And I was driving for the last portion of it, and I was getting very confused as to what the rest of my group was trying to navigate me, and they had some very, logic that made a lot of sense, but in my brain, I was like, I'm confused right now. I have three voices that I'm hearing. But again, I feel like everyone, we shouldn't be embarrassed or feel, feel like we're not intelligent because we do have that insecure feeling of, people being like, oh, look at them, they like don't know what they're doing. It's all a learning experience, and just for anyone out there who feels sad about looking dumb, it's definitely something to embrace.
We've all been there. Yeah. Okay.
I liked how when the driver couldn't remember a syntax, they would just ask the group if they knew or if they could Google it. So that speeds things up. And also, just everyone in the group was kind. And yeah. So.
Excellent. Sounds like it was a good experience, even though challenging at times. What's wrong with that? Okay, Breakout Room 3. David Poole, Luke, Yan Kim, I don't remember your names, M Kim, Seth, and Yan Lee.
Yeah, so I feel like half of our group had some kind of computer internet issues, so it kind of felt for most of it like we were pair programming. But I guess as a whole, there shouldn't be that much difference between pair and mob, other than the kind of more collective opinion of what you're doing.
Observation.
I also had similar experiences to what other people were saying. Just it's really great to quickly be able to ask people what syntax or what data type should be used, and quickly bounce ideas off. Should this be a function or should we just do this in the constructor? Lots of little design patterns that are helpful.
Nice. Any code that you want to show off?
I don't have the latest update. I'm not sure if it was pushed, and it actually looks pretty identical to what was just shown. But we did pretty much go through the exact same setup as the last group showed, except that instead of asking where to put the mines, we just set one mine and started setting the counter for the whole map. With the 8 conditions of the 3 spots above you need to check, the 1 left and right of the current spot, and the 3 spots below in the array that need to be checked for mines.
Okay, oh, sounds like on the right track. Cool. Okay. Breakout Room 2. Cameron, Saris, Keith, and Yifan.
Yeah, I thought it went all right for us. We just had a little bit of it took us a while to get off the ground kind of with the setup. But once we got that going, I know we also had a couple of teammates who were having issues with their mics, so we had to use chat a little bit, which is kind of hard to do to get ideas across for this. But with the time that we had, we were able to get a solution kind of started up, but we didn't finish it.
How about others on that team? What were your experiences working in Breakout Room 2?
Yeah, I thought it was good. It was kind of like similar to pair programming. I like the additional input that you got, but we had to like I said, we had to read it from chat. And yeah, I wish we had more time because there was we did like a dynamic programming approach where we tried doing it all with like edge cases and stuff. And I wish we had more time to like flush out our thoughts and really map through it, but we're kind of just trying to rush it at the end to get some code out there. And left us a lot of a if statement mess. So yeah.
Cool. Well, good learning, good observations. Anything else from Breakout Room 2? Nope. And finally, Breakout Room 1 with Deep, Jordan, Mark, Roland, and Ives.
I can start off, I guess, like others have, I can share a screen as well. Like others have mentioned, a lot of time spent getting off the ground. We did mobbing, probably the first 15 or 20 minutes. It was mob getting, learning how to do Git as a mob. We had some sync issues and parity. We tried to do the same thing we did with the pair program, where we just want to ensure everybody had a good repo set up and we could establish that everybody can do a Git and pull. In hindsight, maybe it would have been better just to do one, and then as the driver shifted to the next person, let them do the Git clone, just in terms of the time that we had, perhaps. 1 hour was definitely not enough for a mob, in my opinion, for 5 of us to try to get a time slice in to get some code in the repo for this effort. It seemed sufficient for the pair, but I think we ran out of time on this one. But there's the code that we did end up with. We started very quickly, just falling into habits with test-driven development, where we just created tests, forgot all about integration tests and didn't worry about that. We just wanted to focus on getting the board set up and being able to validate that it was constructed correctly. I'll leave others to chime in as well.
Yeah, so I thought it was really interesting to see what it would be like being in a larger group than pair programming. I felt like it was actually a bit harder to start with and synchronize, because like I didn't want to speak too much, or like whenever someone else was talking, I didn't want to talk over them. So it was kind of like seeing how to work with other people. But one thing that I did notice that I liked was seeing how other people interface and use the IntelliJ shortcuts. I actually learned a few things from that, so that was pretty cool.
Sorry.
Same. It was interesting seeing the way other people like worked with IntelliJ, and also like there were a couple of things that just like weren't working for me, and people were like, oh yeah, if you do this, like the way you're doing it doesn't work, but if you do this, it works. And, you know, it's always nice. I guess I had similar experiences with the pair programming, but having a whole crowd of people who all had their own solutions to stuff was cool, and kind of allowed for more flexible programming, I think.
Yeah, and so you know, thank you all for sharing that, sharing your observations. It's interesting, that was consistent with what I heard last time I taught also, where people, you know, liked the pair programming, thought it was okay, but there was something different about mob programming. There's something different about having, you know, everybody sort of focused in on the same problem, and having multiple voices, and being able to have, you know, one person go off and do a little bit of Googling or think about it and come back like, I've got the idea for the next test that we should write. Excellent. Well, good deal. Well, thank you all for
one kind of question. Yeah. Sorry, yeah, question on that though, Dave. So with the mob experience here, we kind of started talking about it. We didn't actually get to that point, but is it in the spirit of mobbing to have one person who's implementing the code on the actual code and another person to start developing the test in parallel, or is it better to really just be serialized?
You know, I'd say it's fine to have people thinking ahead, but coding ahead, I don't know, because you know, the idea is that you want to have everybody on the same foot and keep everybody sort of working in lockstep, because otherwise then you have people that, you know, maybe start, you know, based on what was known 2 minutes ago, things can change a lot. So if you have someone go off, that you lose that context. So it's a balance, right? Figuring out how far ahead and how strategic you want to be versus how tactical you want to be. So it's kind of a non-answer, but
no, that's actually what we ended up doing. Is we just talked about what should the next test be, and we just verbalized that while somebody was busy compiling or something.
Cool, excellent. Well, right on, everybody. That was good. Well, so that was our second that was our second mob programming activity. And so on D2L right now, there is a quiz open that offers, that ask you to reflect on your experiences this week. And for those of you who did it both weeks, you can include both of them. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. It's one of the things that I always find interesting to, have people experience for the first time, see what their initial impressions are. So that's everything that I had planned for class with everybody tonight. While some of you were mobbing, there are a couple people that got their Android environment set up. I'll stick on for a little while longer to help anybody else who would like to get some help with getting their Android environment set up. Remember, it's really important that everything work for you. Otherwise, please feel free to drop off the call. Thanks again, as always, for coming. Next week is our last this style of class where we'll have a lecture and stuff. We'll be focusing on Android, and we'll probably spend most, if not all, of the time watching me write Android code, and so to get a better idea of what that's all about. And of course, bring your questions with you next week, and of course, don't hesitate to ask questions that you have for either Project 4 or Project 5 on Slack. Okay, excellent. So have a good night, everybody. And like I said, I'm going to stay on the line for a little while to help people out with Android.
Thanks.
Bye. Okay.
Professor?
Yes.
In Project 4, it's mentioned that we have to print the output using text dumper format when given URL.
Yes.
So what do you mean by text dumper format? Are you expecting any format for that?
Yes. So the text dumper class that you wrote for Project 2 writes a representation of a phone bill to, well, in that case, it was a file, but it writes it in a particular format, right? It's the format that can be read by your text parser, and then from that create the phone bill object that's populated with phone calls. And that's the format that I'd like your servlet to return.
Okay. So the format that I use to save my phone calls in a text file, you are expecting that?
Yes.
Okay. I just printed in the command line and as well as the browser, so I have to change that.
Yes.
Or is it okay?
No, it's not. The intention is that your servlet return the text format, and then the command line application, after making the call to the servlet, takes the text file format, uses the text parser to create a phone bill, which is then pre-printed by the command line tool.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And in Project 5, when I saw your screen, it was the package was mentioned like edu.pdx and all, but I did not get like that. It's like we don't have to create Project 5, right?
There's no script for creating
Yes.
Project 5. Instead, you use IntelliJ. Yes. Yep. I'm sorry. You use Android Studio.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. That's it.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks, Sri. Okay, we got 8 people in the room. So please use raise your hand if there's something that you'd like to talk about here for the Android lab. I'm gonna sit down if you don't mind. Turn on some lights. Who's got? Okay. Yeah, Sarah.
Hey. It's like open, but there are errors with like the emulator and
okay.
some things that say something isn't supported.
Oh, okay. That
I don't
sounds
quite
important.
know what I'm looking at here.
Okay, how about you share your screen and we can take a look.
Absolutely. I'll just share them. Yeah, so it, creates this very simple little guy.
That looks good.
Mm-hmm. I mean, is this what I should see at this point?
You were able to launch the application. Yeah. So, I mean, you're seeing all that stuff in the event log, but...
are these errors I should see at this point? Or?
No, I'm not sure. I didn't look at my event log, so let me see if I got them too.
Oh, it just popped up when I ran it, so...
Sorry, not version control. Debug. Andrea. Sorry, let me look at yours again. I can't remember where to find that. Oh, event log. Okay.
It didn't seem like yours popped up anything when you ran it, and mine definitely popped up.
You know what? Let's see here. Yeah, I'm looking at the event log. Yeah, honestly, I don't see that. But if everything seems to be running okay.
Oh, okay. And so this app stuff, when I run it, this looks normal?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yeah, the part. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That looks like, yeah, I mean, I think what we're looking at here is debugging output from the emulator itself.
Gotcha.
Because it's
Okay.
unquickening 12 VDEX files. Ugh.
Yeah. Oh, it's still
Okay.
doing
Yeah,
something?
so that's because it's launched the emulator and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. I mean, I can like run it again, I guess, to make it like see if it.
Yeah, let's undo the run. Yeah.
Is it this or either one that I would run? Sorry, the Zoom.
It's the green play button.
Yeah, the
Yep,
Zoom
it's,
bar is in my way. So.
Yeah. Let's see here. Is grayed out? So, oh, okay.
What is? Sorry.
Before you move the Zoom bar, it had been grayed out.
Oh.
So, oh right, and yeah, you've got the option.
There might have been a delay in the screen share, I imagine.
That's possible
okay, it does say install successfully for finished.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, actually, it looks like you're in good shape. So I mean, I think the bar is, can you run the emulator and does the app show up in the emulator?
Gotcha. Okay.
If you can
cool.
get that much, that's good to get started.
Yeah.
And then go back and read, watch the lectures or read over the lecture notes to then get an idea of what Android programming is all about.
Okay. Cool. All right. I'm set then. Thank you.
Nice. Good deal.
What else? Stop share. That's how I stop a share. All right. Thanks.
Yeah. Oh, looks like not too many people are left. That's fine. Sri, did you have something else?
Yes, Professor. Actually, I tried to build my project 4 in the Linux system, but first when I did Maven verify, it said that port 8080 was in use. Mm-hmm. So I tried to change the port to something else using that Jetty thing. It's mentioned in the PDF, but the build was failed.
Okay. Well, how about, can you show me?
Yes, I'll share my screen. Yeah, this is the one.
Okay, so yes, please use Maven W instead of Maven. So up arrow.
Oh.
Yeah, you just use the Maven command. Yep, and not Maven W.
Maven W.
Yep, because that will use the Maven wrapper, which might not be executable. Okay. So let me give that a try.
Word.
Okay, so do a chmod plus X Maven W. There you go. Yep. Do // you must not have dot on your path.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's looking a little better. Downloading all sorts of stuff. Making progress.
Yes, that right. So this started the Jetty server.
And it does this before it runs the integration tests.
Oh.
Okay, that looked.
I did Control-C.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were doing a verify. You're right. You were just starting up the Jetty server.
Yeah, I just wanted to change the port because when I did the verify thing, it did not. It said 8080 was in use. So
right.
Is this the command, right? To change the port?
Ah, okay. No, I see. That will run Jetty using that port.
Oh.
Delete the so keep the -d part, but delete the Jetty :run and replace that with verify. So say Maven W verify, and you're gonna need the //.
Oh.
Oh wait, sorry, what am I looking at here?
Wait a second.
Yeah. It looks like you're, there we go. Yep.
Maven clean verify?
Yes. And delete the Jetty run. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, this is sort of like the ultimate test, right? So if this works, then everything should be okay on that non-default port, or on that non-8080 port.
Mm-hmm. So, Professor, while you're testing our code, how you will, like, which port you will be using and all?
I don't know, some random one. I don't remember. Doesn't really matter.
So, like, do we have to remove that hard-coded 8080 in our unit tests or integrated tests?
No, because I use the system property when I run the. Actually, let me just make sure that I think I do. Let me look. Oh, interesting. Huh. You know what? I don't use the port when I run the code coverage. I probably should. Okay. Anyway, maybe I'll try that. Hasn't been a problem for anybody though. So, but when I don't run. What I do is I start up the Jetty. I run a bunch of command lines and I stop it, and that Jetty does not run on the default port.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's see here. It looks like it is started up. It's starting Jetty. After it does that, it will run your unit tests or your integration tests.
Just stopped here.
Well, it's probably thinking about it. It might take a little while for it to start up.
Okay.
Right, now it's running the tests. So it got some errors.
Okay, I should probably remove that.
Okay.
Okay, I'll try that again.
Okay, so it looks like that works. And so then, now are those the same errors that you see on your local build?
I guess.
Okay. So anyway, that's how you run it on a non-default on the port other than 8080.
Yes, Professor. I'll try that again. Thank you so much.
Okay, good. Excellent.
Where to stop it? Can you please stop that?
Yeah, I will.
Oh, yeah, I found it.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, Professor.
You're welcome.
Good night.
Good night to you. I'll see you later.
Bye.